A few of you hit me up and you were asking me to make a video about the Darrell Brooks trial and all the weird things that were happening in it. And the reason I never did it is because I didn't have to. There was no rhyme or reason for me to look at this trial and take anything in it seriously, because every single day it was something stupid. From his own actions, from him saying it was God's will, to saying that people were being mean to him for characterizing him as somebody who has rage in him.
They made reference to a rage, as if they were, or if this particular DA was right there, standing right there, as if this DA is a psychiatrist. I said to myself, what rage? What do you mean rage? How can you characterize that? How can you have the audacity to diagnose what someone's brain is? Where it's at, what it's thinking, why it thinks the way it does. For whatever mistakes that I myself have made in my life, I've made peace with God. Made peace. I'm happy to say that my conscience is clear. And because I believe, I trust him with my life. Nobody will never know why it was his will for this to happen. A lot of lives were changed that day, mine included. Was in fact a class action lawsuit against Ford for those model vehicles.
Sustained, the juror will disregard.
Information that you should have been privy to, that you weren't allowed to be privy to. Why? I don't know. That information, malfunctioning throttle bodies.
Mr. Brooks, move on.
It's information that you should have been privy to. Vehicles that malfunction and accelerate, not being able to be stopped.
Objection. That is.
It's information. It's information.
Objection. Hold on. Go ahead.
Move to strike statements by
Sorry
Mr.
for the
Brooks.
interruption.
Facts not in evidence, Your Honor, and it's a complete misstatement.
Sustained. Strike
How's it a
the-
misstatement when I have the information?
Mr. Brooks, move on.
This is information that I feel like you needed to know. You should have known. Information that was taken away from you. Why? To prove a case?
There was no point to me reacting to this other than to laugh, because everybody with a brain knew somebody who's running over people at a Christmas parade in Waukesha deserves to be in jail. I don't care how he feels. I don't care that he's complaining about Ford malfunctioning cars. He did this. He deserves to be locked up. And thank the Lord, as he sat there holding his head in his hands, crying like a wee little bitch, he was guilty on all 76 counts that caused this.
Victims and survivors of the Waukesha parade tragedy waited nearly a year to hear one word.
Guilty.
Wednesday, after a 3.5-week trial, it took jurors less than 3 hours of deliberations to convict Darrell Brooks of plowing his red SUV into the Waukesha Christmas parade last November. 6 people died, mothers, fathers, and a young son.
Burn in hell, you piece of shit.
Hey.
One man, overcome with emotion, shouted an obscenity at Brooks as the verdict came down. Brooks kept his head down, other times appearing expressionless.
We are satisfied that this defendant has been held accountable for his actions. He now faces imprisonment of 6 consecutive life sentences, plus 859 years of confinement.
District Attorney Sue Opper spoke after the verdict, some of the victims and their families right by her side.
Your life is not on the line.
Brooks, who represented himself at trial, was consistently defiant and combative in court, removed numerous times, and even appeared shirtless at one point.
How do you begin to describe what it was like going up against Brooks as representing himself? Did that change your strategy?
If there's an appeal, he can make a mistake in the courtroom and get a new trial, and we have to pay the price for that, we the state and we the victims. But as far as handling the actual court proceedings, we felt very, very offended by his behavior, his disrespect of the court, the decorum, the families, his insulting the judge, his challenging the judge.
But Opper says the mounds of video evidence of Brooks behind the wheel was undeniable.
Whereas most cases we have to rely on eyewitness accounts or other ways to prove the case, we had videograph evidence of his behavior all up and down that crime scene. We knew the facts were solid. It was just making sure the record and the presentation was done legally accurate.
And Hillary, the DA, went on to say that they were careful about which witnesses they called to testify.
Joyce, DA Opper said they chose not to put children on the witness stand to have them relive those terrifying moments. They felt they had more than enough other witnesses to tell the story.
It is his own fault. It is his own merit. And I'm glad Big Tyrone can consume another victim, because you can say whatever you want about Big Tyrone. He does not like it when you harm children, when you are taking children's lives, when you are actively doing wrong. And for some reason, you think you can talk your way out of it. This dude is an idiot. This dude is a moron. And he's everything that's wrong with society, and thinking that you can do a stupid action and talk your way out of it. And if there's any group of people I'm going to make fun of and laugh at and ridicule and say you're absolutely stupid, it's the people who are making tweets saying that people getting run over and dying is the fault of the people because for some reason it ties to Kyle Rittenhouse. It's probably just self-defense. Hashtag Wisconsin, hashtag Kyle Rittenhouse. But what's odd is that when somebody confronted them and actually said, hey, this is not the right thing to do, and I quote, imagine posting this and thinking you're on the right side of things, why would you respond with, I'm sad. I'm sad anytime anyone dies. I just believe in karma. And this came around quick on the citizens of Wisconsin. What karma could all these people who live in this area have for something that really didn't involve them? That's not something that's on the entire area of Wisconsin. That's just on the people in the courtroom. You're just mad that the defense said, hey, we got the means to back up he acted in self-defense, while the prosecution is holding a gun to people's faces and crying about Call of Duty. I understand you got hot takes. I understand you want to be the person who has the virtue signaling hot take, but you sound like a dumbass looking at a tragedy, seeing people dead, and then trying to link it to something that has nothing to do with it. You sound like some woke weirdo trying to save some points so that people look at you and don't call you racist. Newsflash, it didn't work. Not only are you stupid, but you a dumbass on top of it. I don't feel bad for this dude. I don't wish him well. I don't hope anything happy happens in his life. I hope he spends the rest of his time knowing that he's a miserable piece of shit who got exactly what he deserves. And at the end of the day, the only thing I could tell him that you could consider nice is that he better not drop the soap. Subscribe to the channel. I'll see y'all in the next one. Good riddance, you piece of shit.